This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 174, and this week I am pleased to be joined by a returning guest. Hello, JoJo.
Hello, John. How are you?
Pretty good. Kind of tired, honestly, but, what are you going to do? We'll power through it. Didn't sleep well last night, but what are you going to do?
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. There's too much wrestling going on right now to sleep anyway, so we'll get through it.
How have you been doing? I know it's very early over there in Japan.
Yeah, it is very early for most people, but as you know, I wake up earlier than most. So I've already, been running. I've already watched the G1 show from last night, and it's 7:45 a.m. in the morning here. So
yeah, what time do you get up? Like 4?
Yeah, usually 4, and that's mostly driven by the fact that I usually around this time of year wake up early to watch the Miami Marlins, who just got eliminated from the playoffs. But that has completely altered my sleep patterns. So I'm still in a hangover from that, basically.
Now, I was seriously talking about, like, once things reopen even more, maybe in 2022, and assuming my job is still remote, which it sounds like it will be for a while going forward. We just moved to, like, a way smaller office for the next 3 years. I was thinking of, like, trying to go to Japan for, like, the maximum 3 months and just working, like, literally in the middle of the night, which I imagine will get, like, really annoying, but I think I would be willing to put up with it to go to all these shows for 3 months.
Yeah, I feel like for 3 months you could kind of power through and just be a zombie basically during the day, but you could totally do it.
Yeah, because like I'd probably take like 2 weeks off while I was there. Maybe I haven't actually decided. The more I think about this, I'm like, would I want to take 2 consecutive weeks off, or would I want to do like a week here and a week there while I'm there, or I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But yeah, I brought up the idea to my bosses during my like evaluation. They were not as negative on it as I thought they would be. So, especially
that's a good thing.
Yeah, one of them was like, "Oh, my son's thinking of doing the same thing from Italy, but he has to get a job first." I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of is an important part of the equation."
Yeah, you've got a head start on that guy for sure.
But yeah. But anyway, so of course, the one thing I've been watching a lot of like these like virtual walking videos of Japan, because I just got this new 4K TV that's awesome, and I cannot believe how normal everything looks there. It's actually like I don't really understand how the case numbers are as low as they are when like this guy at one point he walks through an izakaya, which for people who don't know, that's like a Japanese pub, and it's just full of people. Like it looks like there's no capacity restriction at all. Like it's just packed with people laughing and enjoying themselves and having a good time. Almost nobody wearing masks except for like if they're getting up to leave their tables. I'm just like, how the hell did Japan pull this off? I really don't understand it. But
yeah, there's currently no capacity restrictions. There was like a time restriction, but that recently got pulled. Yeah, I think part of it is just that there's so many people compared to basically anywhere in the U.S. other than New York, in terms of density. Or obviously it's higher than New York, but just like in terms of magnitude, it's so much higher that even if a bunch of people are still quarantining, there's still enough people for everywhere to be packed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It is really crazy. But I know you haven't been going out a lot, right? Have you ventured out to eat at all yet, or no?
Not restaurant-wise. I've just been like doing takeout. I go out every day to go running or to do takeout. We're planned a trip to go to Nikko, which is like a couple hours to the north of Tokyo. It's known for its fall colors. So that will be when I take the train from Tokyo to Nikko. That'll be the first train I've been on, I think, since February.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we'll obviously go to restaurants there. So, but yeah, in general, I've still been very cautious.
I haven't done indoor restaurant yet. I have done a train here because I started going back to see my dad every month in New Jersey since I think like June or July. No, I think July. It was like some month where the first time that I saw like it was down to like between 1% and 3% in New York and New Jersey for, or 1% and 3% positive for like months at that point. I figured it was okay. But
yeah,
I mean, New York has been okay. New Jersey had a little spike this past week that made me a little scared for, my dad still lives there. But, it hadn't really, there hasn't really been anything out of control here. But like the rest of the country, I mean, they're in the middle of another fucking spike, it seems like. So, I don't know.
Yeah, last time we talked, my family's obviously all in Miami. And I think last time we talked, Miami was seeing like the worst of it basically in the world. But I think things have started to, calm down a little bit there.
Yeah, it seems like it's the upper Midwest, I think, is what I saw. Like that's the current really bad hotspot now. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But good news is that you will at least be allowed into the country next year if you'd like to come.
That's true, because they're saying April, right?
Yeah, basically they've decided that in April, to prepare for the inevitable influx of tourism during the Olympics, they're just going to start letting people in.
Yeah. I mean, my plan was always to go in December 2021, like even before all this happened. That's when a bunch of my friends were planning to go, and we're still going to try to plan it, apparently. So, hopefully by then, I don't know. I doubt the world will be back to like normal, but maybe closer to normal than now. So,
Yeah, maybe we can meet up and socially distant hang out.
I hope there's vaccines by then. We'll see. Maybe we'll be. Well, I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be a little better by then. But yeah, I'm not too worried about getting in the country, especially after I saw that about April. But even before I saw the announcement about April, I always kind of assumed it's like, what the fuck is the point of hosting the Olympics if you can't let anybody in? So I kind of figured like unless it's still so bad that the Olympics get canceled, I figured by December I should be okay, because I figured they'll have to open for the Olympics. So, but
Yep.
I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to come in December and then maybe do like a 3-month stay in 2022 or something. It would be fun.
Exciting.
Yeah. But in the meantime, the other thing I need to do before we get into today's shows is plug the Omakase Patreon. Where we've had a lot of shows this past week, really 4 straight days of shows. So this past Monday, we did the New Japan G1 show from that day, plus the All Japan Champion Carnival Finals with Paul from Voice of Wrestling. You met Paul, right? I think we met you when we met up with you when we were in Japan, right?
I don't think I've ever met Paul in person.
Maybe you're right. Maybe we didn't.
If I did, I'm sorry, Paul, but I don't think I have.
I thought we saw you for like 2 seconds outside Corkin.
If that's the case, then I don't apologize, because 2 seconds is not enough time.
Yeah, I don't know, because I've been on 3 trips now, so I could be confusing it with another trip, but I could have sworn we met up with you for like 2 seconds outside Corkin.
Paul, I want to meet you for more than 2 seconds.
But yeah, so Paul and I did that show on Monday, and then I did 3 straight shows by myself, Tuesday through Thursday on the G1 shows from those days. So obviously you got a lot of content just from this past week. A lot of content on there if you want to catch up with all the G1 shows, all the Champion Carnival, all the Noah N-1. They're all on there for you to listen to. Plus all of our other audio content is on there. This coming week we're going to have shows Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be by myself covering G1's Night 15 and 16. Friday, I'll be covering the A Block Finals on the Patreon. That'll be only on the Patreon. I will have a guest for that, Andrew, the infamous Puffin Brain Andrew, making his Omakase debut. People would know him if they either go to the Omakase, or not the Omakase, the Voice of Wrestling Discord, where he had a run-in with the law there, let's just say. But the Voices of Wrestling Discord or the Super J-Cast Discord. So he's also another guy based in Japan, so that'll be 2 straight guests based in Japan. But yeah, so he'll be on Friday with me on the Patreon to do the A-Block finals. And then, yeah, so that'll be the last of the G1 Patreon exclusive audio. And then next weekend, obviously, we'll do the B-Block final and the overall finals here on the free feed. But if you want to hear all of our G1 coverage, all the stuff coming up this week, all the stuff from this past week, it's only $5 per month. So I think it's a great deal. You get all of our audio, $5, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Definitely can't go wrong there. And we got plenty more stuff coming up. We're going to be doing, we did 3 tournaments all simultaneously here. We'll be doing it again next month because the DO from DDT is running at the same time as the World Tag League and Best of Super Junior from New Japan. So, we'll do them all. Why not? The World Tag League might be a little tough, but, at least it's not going to be as long as previous years. So, but
there's a lot of wrestling coming up, so get ready.
Exactly. But yeah, there you go, folks. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Okay, so the first show we're here to cover is the G1 Climax Night 13 from the Ideon Arena Osaka on Saturday, October 10th. This was like your first full G1 show in a while, right?
Yeah, I had dropped out after the first couple shows just because I know how this can wear on my patience. So I took a break for a few shows, but this was definitely the right show to jump back in on.
Yeah, this was a really good show. I mean, I feel like there's a certain type of person that probably should have followed your lead and dropped off. Because every year, people get so grumpy around the middle of the G1. And I'm just you don't have to watch this. You could just start. Yeah. You could just skip some shows or matches. You don't people act like, I don't know. For me, I guess I could literally say it is my job because I have this podcast. I have the Patreon. I'm covering it all. But it's not anybody else's job. You could just, unless you also are a podcaster, you could just stop watching. I mean, I don't know. So some people when I see them on the the Discord and stuff, I just want to be if you hate the B Block so much, you could just skip those shows. I don't really get it, but
Yeah, I mean, I think a product of there being such high availability of everything now, you have to pick and choose. You can't watch everything, because you're watching all this stuff right now. Are you also watching everything on Wrestle Universe?
No.
So yeah, I mean, you can't watch everything, right? So. And my burnout, paranoia was mostly driven by going to shows in person. I think 1 G1, there were 6 Tokyo shows, 3 Sumo Hall, and 3 Korakuen. I went to all 3, and that just broke my wrestling brain still. So I have to be careful about how much I commit to just watching everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to pick and choose to a degree. Everybody has to do that. I mean, after the Champion Carnival, I was well, I've had my fill of All Japan for a while. Don't think I'm going to watch the Real World Tag League this year.
Yeah, but I might pull the plug on my All Japan sub after the Carnival.
It was, I mean, look, I'm glad that they had an outstanding final. You have to say that. Yeah, but for the rest of that tournament fucking sucked. I mean, it fucking sucked.
You don't need, from their perspective, they didn't need to show everything live. I don't know, what the... I know the norm for 2020 is you show the whole show front to beginning to end, but there must be some middle ground where they could, I don't know, maybe make the full shows available, but also have a quote unquote TV version where only the really good matches are full, but they clip everything else, just for people to not have to sit through all of them.
I mean, it is one of those things where it's back in the day when we always had clipped stuff, everybody would complain about all the clipped stuff, but it's maybe they were just kind of saving us from ourselves, But
for sure. I mean, there has to be an element to that, right? Because even the best wrestlers in the world, after you watch all their house show matches, it wears on you. So I don't know. I don't think anybody really wants to hear me advocate for clipping stuff, but Here we are.
It'd be nice to have the option, I guess. I mean, like, there was, like, Wrestle 1, I remember, had that YouTube show where they clipped everything, like, into really short chunks. And I always watched that every month, even when I wasn't, like, didn't have the time to watch all of the Wrestle 1 shows that made tape. And that, like, let me keep up with Wrestle 1 even when I, like, you know, didn't have the time to watch their shows. So, I mean, I definitely think there is a value to that, even if, you know, like, at least give people the option, you know? I do think that that would be helpful. More promotions should do it. But anyway, so this G1 show, it opened up with Yuya Uemura defeating Yota Tsuji in 9:03 with a double underhook suplex. So you obviously haven't been watching. This was my favorite Young Lion opener in a while. I was getting, you know, people on the Patreon who have been listening to me over the last few shows will be able to tell you that I was getting pretty sick of these Young Lion openers. Like, you know, they were kind of all starting to blend together and not in a good way. But, you know, this one, it just like Uemura targeting Tsuji's arm was like, you know, just it put a different spin on this match or on these Young Lion matches than we've seen in a while. And there was some really impressive stuff with Tsuji, like, you know, deadlifting Uemura out of the key lock. He just seemed extra aggressive throughout the match. And Uemura just like really, you know, honed in on that arm and, you know, got the key lock back on, and ended up being a really great setup for him finally hitting the double arm, belly to belly. But yeah, I went 3.5. I really like this. So definitely, I think one of my favorite Young Lion matches of the tournament, probably.
So I'm gonna one up you on this one. I actually went 4 stars on this match.
Wow.
And trying to think just off the top of my head, I think this is my favorite Young Lion match since Finley and Jay White were Young Lions.
Wow. You definitely won.
I think. Yeah. So, and like, we were talking, you and I were talking, I don't know, a couple months ago, you know, on one of the pre-G1 tours, you know, and my point was basically like, you can't give us just all multi-man matches on these Korakuen shows. It's nice to have, a singles match, and this was kind of what I was advocating for. But now that we're getting all singles matches, like you said, it definitely starts to blend together. But this match definitely stands out in, you know, relative to all the Young Lion matches in several years to me. And to me, it stands out relative to the way that most of the G1 matches are worked as well. You know, it was very short and sweet and focused and intense. And, you know, the way that they're positioning Tsuji and Uemura is super interesting to me. So, like, Uemura has obviously this amateur wrestling background that he's starting to leverage more, whereas Tsuji does not come from a wrestling background. He comes from a football background, and he has been saying repeatedly that it's his dream in wrestling for the short term to do an excursion in Mexico because he wants to learn like Mexican-style submissions. So they played off of that dynamic quite a bit as well. And that carried on to the next night's match with Gabe as well. But yeah, I loved this match, and this was, if I had to just look at my ratings for these several shows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is definitely one of the 8 or so best matches we saw on any of these shows to me.
Wow. Match number 2 was Jeff Cobb defeating Tomohiro Ishii in 14:57 with the Tour of the Islands. That one made Cobb 3-4 and dropped Ishii down to 3-4. This was awesome. I mean, this was like they had, even last year when Cobb, you know, I think was pretty inarguably worse than he's been so far this year. You know, even last year when Cobb, I didn't like his G1 run that much at all. This match was really great, so I wasn't really surprised that this match was awesome. You know, when he's having a much better G1, you know, overall. But yeah, I mean, it was exactly what you would expect, probably. You know, really hard-hitting. There was a great spot where, like, Cobb hit, like, this sequence of elbows in a row and, like, went to do this big fucking Roman Reigns style, like, lock and load taunt on the last one, and Ishii just, like, smashes him right in his damn face with his own elbow to counter. I was like, that was such an awesome spot.
And he like screamed at him like a fucking dinosaur before he did it.
Yeah, he's like, you're not doing this fucking Roman Reigns taunt on me, buddy. But yeah, there was like there's like a big suplex trading sequence, and you know, both guys just stumbled around like they're drunk by the end, and then Cobb like explodes forward with this ridiculous headbutt. Just a great end to a great sequence. But yeah, then like, Ishii countered the Cobb's normal setup for the Tour of the Islands is kind of goofy, right? Like, it's just kind of like, I hold my arms out waiting for you to run into them. And Ishii counters it with this, like, hard lariat right to the face. It was great. It's like, I'm not just going to run into your arms, buddy. Cobb, though, no-sells it, hits his own lariat and a standing moonsault, tries for the Tour of the Islands again. Ishii, though, falls out of his arms this time and hits enzigiri. And, I would have thought that was, like, the beginning of the end, but they went quite a bit longer after those two tour teases, and, like, it's not a complaint, because the match rolled, but I was just a little surprised. And then Cobb ends up winning with a totally different Tour of the Island setup, where, like, he powerbombs Ishii and just pulls him up by his arms, like, from the same position, Kota Ibushi hits the Kamigoe, and, like, deadlifts him straight from a seated position into the move. Just a great payoff from all those earlier counters and an awesome ending to an awesome match. 4.25 here. Cobb's best match of the G1 and one of Ishii's best too. So awesome start to the show. Pretty much 15 minutes of nonstop action. Or awesome start to the G1 matches, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I mean, so after those, I also went 4.25 on this match. After the first two matches, I thought we were in store for an all-timer in terms of a show. The things that stood out to me about this match were basically two things. The way that Cobb just ragdolled Ishii the whole time with all these throws, just throwing him around the ring like crazy. Not really many people do that with Ishii, although he is not that big of a guy. So I think that really stood out, and the crowd really reacted to it, like gasping. I love that, like, now a gasp that, like, gets the fans to break the protocol is, like, it weighs into my, like, evaluation of these matches.
Yeah, but that's the new. I talked about that a lot in the show. That's like the new Monster Heat, basically.
Yeah,
because you saw it like in All Japan and Noah too, in the Champion Carnival and the M1 finals too. And it's like I have noticed, and Mike Spears, the Open the Voice host, he's mentioned this too. Like the fans outside of Tokyo seem way more willing to break the protocol than the fans inside of Tokyo in general.
Makes sense.
And
yeah,
it makes sense. It's because like Tokyo was the hardest hit area. So yeah, I mean that makes total sense. Because like there's some of these places they're going to where like COVID's barely impacted them at all. Like as far as like how many people have actually had it in that area. So
for sure. I mean, this was in Osaka, so they have.
That's right. Yeah.
But in general, for sure. And then real quick, other flip side of this match, the thing that stood out to me, which is really not unusual at all for Ishii, is just like his tenacity and his aggression was. Really got the crowd, I think, ready for the show and stood out to me as a highlight for sure.
Match number 3, Jay White defeats Yujiro Takahashi in 340 with the Blade Runner. Jay goes to 5-2 and Yujiro goes to 0-7. So this was obviously way more story than match. Now, whatever you thought of this is going to depend on if you enjoyed the story or not. I enjoyed it. I thought they've done the story before, right? They've done the Bullet Club leader wants the other Bullet Club guy to lay down for him. They've done that before. I thought this was the best they ever executed that story. Like, I thought this was way better than whenever, like, AJ, or I think even Devitt too, like, told, another Bullet Club member to lay down for them. Jay comes out there in this casual wear instead of his normal wrestling gear. And, you speak way more Japanese than I do. The Japanese announcers were definitely pointing that out, right? I'm pretty sure I heard that. Like, just being
for sure. Yeah. They were, I mean, at first I think they thought maybe he just had like sweatpants on, but then they really keyed in on his sneakers and they're like, oh shit, he doesn't have his boots on.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And, they all three guys do the 2-sweet at the start. Jalen, like, he starts leading everybody in his own little clap, which I thought was funny because he's been mocking people for these claps and how they can't, yell anything all throughout the tour. But yeah, this was like a new level of that. And then he tells Yujiro to go ahead and lay down for him. He's like, Domo. And he's like, please go ahead. Jay like makes a complete joke out of it and keeps stopping at 1 to like tease the ref, which I thought was really funny. It's like Yujiro probably just wants you to, get it over with here, buddy. If he ever was going to like you could read it into this one or two ways. You could say maybe Yujiro was never going to do it, maybe because Jay seems to think, it was like Yujiro had a conspiracy with evil. But you could also just say, like, maybe this fucking guy was actually trying to grit his teeth and do it, and you made such a joke out of it that he just couldn't do it, So I liked how there was an ambiguity there. But yeah, when Jay finally does go to do the pin for real, Yujiro kicks out at 2. Jay, like, asks him, are you joking? Yujiro says, "Yeah, just kidding, just kidding." But you can see the look on his face, like he does not want to get pinned here. He does not want to do this. So I thought Yujiro's acting here was like really good, for a guy that like people normally don't think very highly of. I mean, I thought he did a great job, like like showing on his face that he was conflicted, and like didn't know what to do here. And if you watch his promos leading up to this match, I mean, he would talk like about how he's proud of his performances, even though he's winless. Like he has everything to be ashamed of going out there, and it makes sense for his character that he just he didn't want to get pinned here, or he didn't want to like just give up or let Jay pin him. But yeah, so Jay covers him again. Yujiro kicks out too again. Yujiro keeps trying to roll him up while Jay's distracted, asking Kaito what he's doing, and then you can tell the crowd was getting really into it. Yujiro like lariats the hell out of him when Jay shoves him, and then gives him this great Olympic slam for a 2 count. And then he like low blows Jay after almost setting him in the ref, and tries to get the pin off that with a 2 count. Like the crowd, I think, was like just really getting into like Yujiro trying to pull off this amazing upset. But yeah, so Yujiro gives him the Miami Shine. That gets another close 2 count, and then he goes for Pimp Juice, but Kaito starts getting in the ring, and that gives Jay the chance to get his own low blow, and then give him the Blade Runner. That's all she wrote. It's tough to rate this one because, like I said, it's more story than match. I really enjoyed it for what it was, though, and I just decided to give it like a nice little 3 1/4 because I had a good time with it. So,
yeah, I really enjoyed this too. I didn't rate it just because I didn't feel like rating it, but I think even without having kind of kept up with the storylines, I think these guys did an awesome job of getting me back into, the context of this match. I think everything you said about Yujiro is definitely the case. I think he performed really well. I think, one thing that New Japan does in general really well is, making sure that even the guys who are technically heels still have like this human element to their characters, right? So that they can, in the G1, when they inevitably have somebody that they need to have be portrayed as more of a heel than the other guy, that's there, right? So I think this was done really well, like you said. And, honestly, matches like this break things up. Do I really care if Yujiro's going to have a good match? No, I think this was the exact spot that you want him in. I know you haven't watched him, but he's actually been way better than I would have expected. Like, I don't have my averages open, but I think he's like averaging like a 3 1/4 or something, which is, I would have expected much lower for him, honestly. I mean, he's been good. Yeah, that's cool.
Afterwards, though, Jay like grabs a chair, actually going to hit Yujiro with it. Kaito tries to stop him, tells him to calm down, and Jay's like going crazy, asking him if he had anything to do with it, and he really kept that up in the backstage promo too. So clearly something is up here at Bullet Club again, and Jay and Evil have been like taking shots at each other on these two different, and the way it's done this year, with the 2 blocks not interacting at all, it really made it like the perfect year to do this storyline, because like Jay and Evil are basically taking shots shots at each other from like across the ocean. Basically, it's like these right. 2 blocks don't interact at all, and they're both it's like they're just like having this weird like half negotiation, half low key feud, like without directly interacting with each other. So it really worked out the way they did it this year.
It's smart too. They're going to have a lot more of these interactions, cross-block interactions, I'm sure, on the final show. So it just adds another layer to this tour for sure.
Match number 4: Will Ospreay defeats Taichi in 16:26 with the Stormbreaker. Ospreay goes to 5-2. Taichi goes to 3-4. So this match was good. I mean, there's stuff here that really annoyed me, and just the very idea of people having the take that like, oh, look how Ospreay carried Taichi to a great match when Taichi's been awesome in this entire G1, just annoys me. But like, I didn't even think this was one of Taichi's better matches. Like, it was good, but it was like this match was like Will like doing about 500 flips. I mean, this was maybe his most flippy match of the entire tournament, and it really makes this take that like Will Ospreay is working this radically different style as a heavyweight look even stupider because, like, you know, here he is, like, bouncing around like he's, you know, 2004 Jack Evans on speed, and I'm supposed to, like, you know, say he's doing a different... I just don't see what he's doing differently, honestly. You know, there was, like, a couple, like, little awkward spots. There was, like, one spot where Will took so long to set up this chop in the corner that he made Taichi look like an idiot, like, holding onto the ropes, like, just kind of, like, having to move around like he was in motion but couldn't actually go anywhere, just waiting to get hit. It's just like, just chop the guy, buddy. You don't have to wait that long. And he took also possibly the worst bump I've ever seen for the dangerous backdrop. Like, Taichi, like, Will was supposed to, like, handspring into Taichi's arms. Will seemed to jump way too high, so Taichi almost didn't even catch him. And then Will, like, rolls through the move like he's doing tumbling in a gymnastics class, and he stands back up, allegedly selling by grabbing on his head that he didn't actually land on, and then he falls back down again. It was really fucking horrible. But yeah, I'm pointing out things I didn't like about this match. There's a lot of stuff I liked. You know, there was like a really cool back and forth reversal sequence towards the end that ended with like a big last drive by Taichi. You know, and Taichi's super kick on Will in midair to break up the Oz Cutter ruled. And then Ospreay came back and won with his usual. But yeah, you know, I went 3.5 on it. I liked it. But like, you know, Taichi's had much better matches than this. And I better not read anybody say this was his best match of the G1, because you're wrong. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this was a good match. Technically, I went 3 3/4, but I don't have strong feelings about it at all. It was just kind of, you know, there for me. Obviously, with that rating, I enjoyed it while watching it, but I don't have any lingering strong thoughts about it. Kind of like a middling match for both guys, based on what you would expect. Like you said, there were some sloppy points, but also obviously some pretty impressive spots. You know, the thing that stood out to me for sure was the super kick on the Os Cutter, you know, defending. The other thing is that how good Ospreay is at these like Marufuji style kicks always surprises me, especially like when I've been watching Marufuji recently. That stands out. But yeah, this match was just kind of there for me, and not any strong feelings about it.
The semi-main event, which was the first meeting of these two in 7 years, Kota Ibushi defeating Minoru Suzuki in 16:58 with the Kamigoe. It moves Ibushi up to 5-2 and drops Suzuki to 3-4. So this was the kind of match where, like, I'm going to struggle talking about it because I really, really liked it, but at the same time, I can already tell, like, from looking at other, like, you know, the rating sites and other people's takes, that I'm lower on it than the consensus. So it's like, I'm going to sound like I hated it when I say I gave it 4 stars flat. I mean, I really liked it, but, like, a lot of people seem to, like, you know, absolutely love this match, and I'm not at that, like, match of the year level. Like, I thought it was really good. You know, it just didn't land on that, like, you know, 4.5 star plus level for me. But I wonder, maybe it did for you. I don't know.
It did not. I have it at 4 1/4, which is for me really good. And, you know, sometimes that level of a rating gets it into my top 25. But yeah, I think they did the type of match that you'd want these guys to do, right? You got like pissed off Ibushi, which is definitely what you need to match Minoru's energy. The part of it that I think held it back a little bit to me, just like very technically, this is a weird nitpick, is that like I don't buy for a second that Ibushi wants to wrestle Minoru on the mat at all. And that's how they started this match.
Yeah.
So for me, like, if they would have started out standing striking, that's more of an even plane. But for the match to go straight to the mat against Minoru Suzuki, there's no way Ibushi can hang with him. So that was like a weird start to me. But once they got past that section, I think everything else made a lot of sense and was really well done.
Yeah. I mean, the only other issue I had, I guess, at the end, like, there was like the standing Kamigoe that he did, where, you know, where Suzuki kept countering the stand-up knee. So the step-up knee, I should say. So the standing Kamigoe made sense, but it didn't look that great to me. And neither did the second Kamigoe either. So, like, I don't know. So maybe I took a little bit of points off for that, but neither really had, like, the impact I was expecting. But, you know, it's one of these... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The look on Minoru's face at the end was priceless.
Yeah, the creepy smile was awesome. But, the best part of this to me was when Suzuki, obviously they traded those, disgustingly hard elbows. Suzuki, rolled through the Kamigoe at one point, right into this leg hold, and then, straight into this Boston Crab, which was a really good counter. He got it in locked in really deep, too, and then, switched to, the single leg when Ibushi almost got out. So all that stuff was good. But yeah, it was a really good match that I'm, still below other people on, so what are you going to do? Actually, that kind of holds true for the main event, too, even though I like this one even more, but some people are much higher on it than me. Kazuchika Okada defeats Shingo Takagi in 27:45 by referee stoppage. Okada goes to 5-2, and Shingo goes to 3-4. So this was a really rare match where I absolutely loved it. This was a 4.5 star match to me, which, low end match of the year contender. Might make my top 10. Probably the bottom half of the top 10. But at the same time, there are things about that really annoyed me, especially the ending. So we can talk about that. So you haven't been watching these Okada matches, and I guess you've been divorced from the discourse on Okada, which, you should consider yourself welcome, honestly, because the discourse, especially on the Voice of Wrestling Discord, has been really insufferable about Okada. And there's a spin from, and first of all, acting because Okada had this level of match with Shingo Takagi automatically means that Okada, was working the entire time, and there's no way that he actually was banged up. That's very silly because if he was banged up, the storyline they've run with him was the perfect fucking storyline to give him a break and let him recuperate and have this kind of match. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Obviously, they are doing a storyline with him, but this is exactly the type of storyline you would run with Kazuchika Okada if you want 2020 to be his year off. You don't have to look any further than how he's been scheduled in this G1. When is the last time that Kazuchika Okada had a run of, I believe, 3 straight matches where he wasn't even in the semi-main event? Not the main event. He was in match 2 or 3 on at least 2 straight shows. I think 3 straight shows. So, that's pretty much never happens, if you look back at past G1s. He's always in, the main event and the semi-main event, except maybe a few shows here or there. So the fact that they're, they put together the storyline to give him a chance where he wouldn't have to go out there and wrestle a match like this, 9 times like he tries to do in many G1s, or even 7 or 8 times. So I think that was very clear, to me at least. The other thing, too, it's we're suddenly acting like having a, 4.5 star plus match with Shingo Takagi, of all people, is it makes your God's gift to wrestling. Lots of people have outstanding matches with Shingo Takagi. I don't really think that's, I'm not saying that means Okada sucks either, but it's come on now. This is the excuse, this is the fucking evidence we're using for Okada is back. It's 2017 again. It just seems a little silly to me. I don't know. That's just my take on that. Now, this match itself, outstanding match. Okada, there were some little things that annoyed me. There was one goofy spot where Shingo was giving these alternating elbows and cross-face shots to a seated Okada, and you could see clear as day that he was making 0 contact with his face. It looked pretty awful. Thankfully, it didn't last very long at all, but, it definitely was notable. But yeah, the problem with this match to me, and again, this is the kind of thing that we debate endlessly in this Discord. What I said in the Discord was something the Okada superfans, obviously don't have a problem with the money clip, but a lot of other people do. And some of the people on the Discord got very angry with me for saying that the people who like the money clip are Okada superfans. Because there is this perception among people who like Okada, especially in the West, I don't know about in Japan, but in the West, among people who really love Okada, that they are, unbiased and the default, and thinking Okada is the best wrestler on the earth and the best wrestler ever lived is the only rational position, and anyone who dares say anybody else is better, is biased or whatever. We're perfect and unbiased. And it's sorry, if you think Okada is so good that you don't hate this money clip, you are an Okada superfan. I don't know what to tell you. You have to fucking love Kazuchika Okada to think this money clip is good. You're not actually supposed to like it. The entire point of the storyline is that you're supposed to want him to do the Rainmaker. So if you actually are trying to talk yourself into liking the money clip, you're an Okada superfan. I mean, I don't really see what is irrational about saying that. And I don't know if you could correct me if maybe if you didn't hear this too. I definitely heard this, and some other people that I followed online heard this. At one point in this match, Okada locks his money clip in again, and the fucking crowd, who was going crazy, I mean, they were like making a ton of noise beyond just clapping. The air lets out of the room at one point. Like, he gets the money clip on, and the fucking crowd goes really quiet for a second. They start clapping again to try to rally Shingo to get out of it. But, like, the air lets out of the room at one point, like, past the 25-minute call, when Okada gets his money clip on again. So, like, this move is just not... It's not good, and it's not over. So, I don't know. Maybe you heard something different, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're mostly on the same page. Taking a step back a little bit, I think this is not a new thing for Okada. Obviously, I think Okada can be one of the best wrestlers in the world. I think his strongest suit, his strength as a wrestler, is how his matches are structured.
Yeah.
Not like his in-ring work or his cool moves. That's never been the case, right? A good Rainmaker is made a good Rainmaker by the guy who's taking it. He's never really had a like high impact, awe-inspiring moveset. It's always been like a logical moveset. So I think this move is logical in the space that it fills, but it looks terrible.
It looks awful. And can we say, by the way, his submission finishers have always sucked? Because I've watched all those Okada Tanahashi matches in order. The red ink sucked. It looked like the John Cena STF hug a lot of the time when I was watching those Okada Tanahashi matches. He used to do this like wacky like lucha submission, not a finisher, but he used to do it in like every match. That fucking sucked.
I like the lucha stuff.
That's
the only one. I like the lucha stuff, but that's it.
The other Cobra Clutch he was using for a little bit leading up to that Naito match in 2018, that fucking sucked. I mean, pretty much every time he's tried to do a big submission, it has sucked. I mean, the man is just not good at submissions. It's okay to come out here and say that Kazuchika Okada is not good at something. It's not the end of the fucking world. You can still think he's like the best wrestler in the world, but like you should be able to acknowledge his flaws. And this move looks like shit. I mean, it just looked like and the crowd the air would not have let out of that building if this move was over or if this move was good. So I'm ranting about a match I loved. I'm ranting like negatively about a match I loved, but like some of the takes have just been like driving me completely crazy. So
I think this move could work in some ways. I mean, he's got to change how he locks it on because it just doesn't look painful.
Yeah.
But I think it puts again a lot of the weight on the opponent to make it look like it hurts, which I think Shingo did well.
Yeah, Shingo sold it really well. So you have to give him all the credit in the world.
So to me, this is not an Okada match. This is a Shingo match.
Exactly.
It's a fucking awesome Shingo match. One of his best of the year for sure. I gave this match 4.5.
That's what I gave it to.
Which means I like it a lot. Like it's in my top 10 right now. But yeah, to me, like not having been immersed in the storylines, this is just like an awesome Shingo match. And like Okada has a shitty new submission is basically my takeaway.
I'm glad you said that because I really felt like I was going crazy reading some of these takes.
No. And beyond that, I'll say that the crowd connection with Shingo in this match.
Oh yeah,
like almost made me forget that they're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, I mean this crowd was here. If anyone thinks this crowd was cheering on Okada, you need to fucking get your ears checked. I mean, this crowd wanted Shingo Takagi to beat this man.
100%.
So
and beyond that, to me, this match shows that Shingo. I mean, if there was any question already, I mean, I guess this time last year we were saying, yeah, he can definitely main event shows as a junior, or maybe not quite this time, but at some point last year that was a question. then okay, for sure he can do really well in the G1. I mean, this guy could be the champ. They have enough with him that he could be a main eventer. And obviously that's not a surprise to anybody who's been watching Shingo for a long time. But I think like in the context of New Japan, it's very clear that if they want to put, pull the trigger on this guy, they certainly could.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like watching this match. It's like Shingo Takagi absolutely, should be a main eventer. Should be up at that level. I don't really think there's any disagreement there. The Shingo Rainmaker was such a awesome. That was the best Rainmaker from another person by anybody, because it usually does not look that great. And here, like, Shingo killed him. When most people hit the Rainmaker on Okada, like when Tanahashi hit it, it was always like, it was like the novelty of it. It didn't look that great. But Shingo fucking killed him. And that was like the exact moment where the match went from like being very good to like incredible for the rest of it, basically. He did his own Rainmaker pose after that, when he went with the pumping bomber. That was so awesome. Yeah, that was so great. And yeah, then Shingo like catches his arm when he tries the Roaring Lariat and hits the Made in Japan. And you could, again, like that was when the crowd was like reacting really big, even though they're not supposed to. Just an incredible counter. But yeah, like I said, the ending, I mean, if this match to me felt like it was building to either Shingo winning, first of all, or at least Okada having to break out the Rainmaker here. It would have, I mean, I get it, like maybe you don't want to pay the storyline off until at least the A-Block final, maybe not the final, but like, as far as what this match in a vacuum was building toward, it did not feel like it was building toward Okada just beating him with the fucking money clip. I mean, it just... That if Okada had won with the actual Rainmaker or Shingo had won, I think it's easily 4 3/4, maybe even 5 for me. But just the fact that Okada beat him with the stupid hold, makes it only quote unquote 4.5. So, what are you gonna do? But
yeah, amazing match either way. If you haven't seen any, I mean, first of all, if you haven't seen this show, watch the whole thing because it's the best of the G1. But this is going to be one of the best matches of the year at the end of the year.
Yeah, so there you go. I agree. It's the best show of the G1. I don't really see how anyone can argue that as far as like top to bottom show. It just did a lot of really, really awesome stuff. A lot of awesome matches here, and definitely the best out of the A block in the entire G1 so far. So the A block standings after the show, we have Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, and Jay White. They are all tied for first at 5-2. Below that, you have a big logjam with Jeff Cobb, Ishii, Shingo, Minoru Suzuki, and Taichi, all 3-4, and Yujiro Takahashi all by himself at 0-7. So, pretty clear the A block is going to come down to Okada and Ospreay. I think Jay White will get spoiled on the last night by Ishii, and Ibushi will get spoiled on the last night by Taichi. Not really hard to see where they're going here, I think. But that brings us then to night 14, which is from today, October 11th, at the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium in Nagoya. Definitely nowhere near as good of a show as the previous night, but I liked the show. I thought there was a lot of good, a bunch of good stuff on it. Nothing at the level of Okada Shingo or even Ishii Cobb, but a bunch of good stuff here. The opener was Gabriel Kidd beating Yota Tsuji in 7:09 with a double arm suplex. I guess this is what you were talking about earlier. Tsuji busted out this wacky lucha-esque hold with Kidd, trapped between his legs and a ball. And then I love when he rolled him straight into a cover for a near fall. It looked even better as a cradle than a hold, I thought. So
that's one of Milano's old holds. And Milano went crazy for it when he did it. So, I think that's part of it. He's been alluding to the fact that he definitely wants to do his excursion in Mexico. So I think they're starting to kind of, in lieu of him being able to actually do it, teaching him some of the stuff so he can start incorporating it. To me, this match was worked more like a G1 match than the previous Young Lions match. It was more hard-hitting. It was faster pace. I think Gabe works more of a smash mouth style, to say a stupid cliche, but I think this was really good. I gave it 3.5. And the other thing that jumped out to me during this match, which I think is a contrast to the next show we're going to talk about, is how hard this announce team works to put stuff over.
Yeah.
So This is Murata, Milano, and Motoi, right? So then they've been doing like a lot of the G1 shows. This is my favorite announcing team in all of wrestling because I think they work really well together, and they really focus on putting over the stuff in the ring. So it's very clear when you contrast it to the other companies in Japan. I mean, Murata works. He does DDT commentary too, but
he's a very recognizable voice. Which one is the woman's name again? Was she
I think
on?
her name is Miki Motoi, right?
Miki Motoi, yeah, I think that's. I mean, she's like really great. I mean, like as far as like just like during COVID, just like reacting to moves, you know, and like having like these visceral reactions. Jarina on the Noah show did that a few times too, but like I think she, you know, Miki is way better. So like she's just really good at that. Like, you know, she does a lot of these New Japan World shows. You know, even like, especially when there's like another broadcast on Samurai, I feel like she does the New Japan World broadcast a lot, and like, which is kind of funny because she also works for Samurai TV, but you know, she's out there doing the alternate audio on these Samurai broadcasts. But yeah,
and she speaks Spanish too, so she does the Fantastica Mania shows, and like, I think she does the Spanish interviews a lot of the times.
Yeah. But she's a really interesting woman. I mean, also like a real life meteorologist. You know, just
so like, you know, people talk about who the, you know, trying to put or rank the New Japan announcers. This is definitely my favorite combination.
Yeah, they're really good, and I like the play-by-play guy. You know, I don't always remember their names that well, but he has a very distinctive voice to me, so I hear him a lot in DDT too, and he's like one of my favorite play-by-play guys in Japan. I mean, just
I think his name is Haro Murata.
Yeah, so just a outstanding play-by-play guy. The match itself here, I liked a little less. You know, I only went 2 3/4. Thought it was like not one of the most memorable Young Lion matches of the tour, but it was fine. You know.
Yeah, I like this kind of like basic wrestling a lot in general, so I'm usually pretty high on these. I thought the previous one was like excellent, but yeah, I can see how I'm a little high on this one.
Yeah. Match number 2, Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Yoshihashi in 13:34 with the modified Clarky cast. Zack is now 4-3, and Yoshihashi is now 1-6. This was awesome. I mean, you and I think, are both really big fans of Zack in this G1 and just in general, and like, you know, we're both, I think, usually pretty high in his stuff. But you know, Yoshihashi's having a great G1, and I thought these two worked really well together here. Like Zack, you know, really went after Yoshi's arm from the beginning. I was ready to like not be thrilled with Yoshi still going for the butterfly lock after Zack had worked on the arm, but I realized like the dominant arm in the butterfly lock is the right arm, and the arm that Zack was working on was the left arm. So I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but it definitely you know, worked out. So, you know, at least it didn't like, it wasn't like egregious or anything.
Yeah, I think that was definitely on purpose.
Yeah. So, you know, Zeus, that's what I say, Zeus, sorry. Zack, you know, he like does this great, like, he goes for this cross arm breaker, and Yoshi does this great, like, roll through, like, pin counter, and it leads to like a really great, like, 2.999 call, which even got like an audible reaction out of the crowd. And then Zack at that point, like, you know, he finally like taps out Yoshi with that modified Clarky Cat, some other fucking British reference, I'm sure. But it's like this arm stretch that looked extremely painful.
It's not called Taking Tiger Mountain by Armbar?
No, I don't think so. What is
that? That's a Brian Eno reference.
Oh, I see.
Nothing beyond that. I thought about that joke while I was running.
But yeah, so this was a lot of fun. The match built extremely well with Zack's arm work paying off at the end. And Yoshi did a great job selling it as he kept trying to fire up with his other arm instead. And Yoshi's just shown great fire throughout this entire tournament. Yet another great match for these two in the G1. 3 3/4 for me.
Yeah, 3 3/4 for me too. I think, okay, Yoshihashi, obviously not the like, you know, exciting pick for the G1 as an entrant, but I think he absolutely deserves to be in it every year until, you know, he's deteriorating as a wrestler, because you need to have underdogs in this league for it to work.
I mean, I gave this exact same speech like last week. It's true because it's like everybody. Okay. I'm just saying, like everybody wants a lineup of like 20 fucking superstars, and it's like you got to have some people in there who can work different kinds of matches. Otherwise, it's going to get boring as shit.
This is going to be controversial, but I will take Yoshihashi in the G1 over Kento Miyahara, over Daisuke Sekimoto. I don't care who you put in. It needs to have people like this. And he gets wins, right? If he loses every match, it doesn't work. But he has to get a win. He has to get 2 wins a year. I think his selling was awesome. Obviously, you mentioned I'm a huge Zack Sabre fan. If Katsuhiko Nakajima is my favorite wrestler, Zack Sabre Jr. is probably my second favorite wrestler. It flip-flops. Awesome match. Surprisingly good, whatever that means, because I would expect his matches to be good. But yeah, great performance by Yoshihashi. And I don't want to hear that he doesn't deserve a spot in it, because he absolutely does.
Yeah. Match number 3, Kenta defeating Toru Yano at 8:56 by countout. Kenta moves up to 3-4, and Yano falls to 3-4. I don't really think we need to do a big recap of this match. I mean, like, look, some people seem to really hate this one as far as Yano matches go. I thought it was pretty typical for a Yano comedy match, and at least it built to a sincerely funny joke at the end. Like, I actually did laugh out loud when Kenta's briefcase opened to reveal all these rolls of tape after he earlier had been freaking out about the Yano tape rolls at the start, and then like tied Yano to the post and won. I thought the joke at the end was funny. Maybe went a little too long. Didn't really bother me more than any other Yano match. I just like slapped 3 stars on it just because, I mean, rating Yano matches is kind of stupid anyway, but I have averages to keep up, so,
Yeah, it didn't bother me. Usually I, get a chuckle out of it, at least one chuckle out of every Yano match, and that was definitely the case here. I gave it a meaningless 2 3/4, but it was funny. That's all you need from it.
The grapple average on this one especially, like, people gave it, like, there were a lot of, like, quarter stars. So people were very angry about this match. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, those people just don't know what they're getting into with a Yano match.
I guess. Or they just watch it to be angry. I feel like some people,
Yeah, well.
I don't know. There's a lot of that on the internet in general, so. Match number 4 was Sonata defeating Juice Robinson in 15:06 with a moonsault. Sonata moved up to 4-3. Juice moved down to 3-4. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, because there's another one that I liked a lot more than what seems to be the consensus so far. I thought this was a perfectly good match. I went like 3.5 stars on it. I didn't really have any problem with it. Some people seem to really hate it. I don't think either guy has really been that great in this G1. Especially Sonata, who like has been really disappointing to me. I'm usually someone who defends him more than most, but he's let me down a few times in this tournament. Especially the Zack match that I was really looking forward to. Because I've really liked their matches before, and I thought they just had a very basic match. But yeah, I didn't think he was bad here. I didn't think Juice was bad, and Juice was coming off his best match of the tournament by a mile with Naito, so I thought he had another good match here. But yeah, I don't know. Some people seem to really hate this one, so interested to hear what you think.
I did not hate this match. I did not like this match. I gave this match 3 stars. I am usually pretty high on Juice, but what I've seen from him this tour has been a little disappointing. I think, and that's definitely partly because, or maybe totally because of like the crowd situation, right? He usually has a really strong connection with the crowd. Sonata is, I thought Sonata was actually better than he typically is in this match. I think he did a really good job of connecting with the crowd when he had Juice, in the Paradise Lock, even though that move always kind of, puts a damper on my enjoyment of the match when he does it. This match was just kind of there for me. But yeah, I don't think it was like offensively bad or anything, but I would definitely not recommend anybody go out of their way to watch it.
Shout out to Thomas Fishback, former guest, because he was like really complaining about it in the Voice Wrestling Slack. So I don't know what you're watching, buddy, but hang in there, I guess.
He might need to take a break. You just got to take a break sometimes.
It's like when a 3-star match or whatever is like bothering you that much. The semi-main event, Hiroki Goto defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi in 13:38 with the GTR. moved Goto up to 4-3, and dropped Tanahashi down to 3-4. Stunning result, first of all. I don't think anyone really expected Goto to win this. But yeah, this was awesome. I mean, like a real throwback match between these two. Tanahashi worked over Goto's leg at first to try to lock in the cloverleaf. But I didn't think he worked it over too long to where it felt like, it had to be a leg match by that point, and Goto had to really sell it the rest of the match. So I thought they did a good job, like picking the right point to cut that off at. And there was like this big fucking slugfest sequence for the two of them, just like trading elbows and strikes. That was awesome. It was like two old war horses going to battle, and it ended with like this. Tanahashi ducks his first roaring lariat, but then Goto gets the short arm lariat anyway. And that was really awesome. But yeah, they ended up fighting on the top rope. Goto got him up on his shoulders, which was terrifying, and gave him a top rope Ushigoroshi. That always looks like a kill a dude. I mean, and Goto does an awesome job selling his own knee too when he lands, which combined with the leg work earlier, it makes perfect sense that you'd sell your knee after like dropping a human being onto it from the top rope, and let Tanahashi kick out too. And then like Goto like very carefully steadies himself on that leg right after, gives that big middle kick, goes for the GTR. Tanahashi like starts trying to punch his way out of it, so Goto like grabs his arm and spins him, hits the inverted GTR, and then Tanahashi nearly rolls him up, but Goto stops him again and just nails him with the real GTR. And that was when he hit that GTR, I'm like, oh my god, is he actually winning this? And then that was the pin. A stunning finish. Goto beats him decisively under 14 minutes. Great finish, just out of nowhere, but in a good way. Goto basically Tanahashi nearly counted him twice, but Goto had the perfect counters for the counters and then put him away. So made perfect sense. I went 4 stars in this. I love this.
Best match on the show. I also went 4 stars. 2 things stand out to me. First thing, these guys don't work together that much recently. And they just it's like riding a fucking bike. Like their chemistry is awesome. And they gelled instantly. It was almost like, I'm sure if we go back and watch some of their other matches together, there'll be spots that are reused, but they haven't done it recently. So, that stood out. They were very smooth together. And the other thing is that this was the G1iest match on the show. This was the classic G1 match on a show with no classic G1 matches. Not classic in quality, but just in the type of match that you would expect. So yeah, I love this match. Everything you said about Goto, I think that the knee work was good, not the focus of the match, but it did play into the whole thing, beginning to end. So I think that was important. And if I don't know, I haven't seen Tanahashi that much, in the last month or so, but he seems to be Tanahashi as always to me.
Yeah, he took a couple nights off in this tournament for sure. I remember that Juice match at Korakuen, and you could tell he clearly was I'm not going to try that hard for this one. But he's had some really great performances. The Naito match obviously was just still my favorite match of the entire tournament. But also, this Goto match, the Yoshihashi match was great. The Kenta match was really great, I thought. So, some really good stuff there. The Evil match, he tried hard, but the Evil Togo stuff was fucking stupid. So that hurt that one a lot for me. But yeah, this was another great match here for Tanahashi in this G1. He's having a really good one. The main event, Tetsuya Naito losing to Evil in 23:57 with the Evil. Evil moves up to 5-2 and drops Naito to 5-2. The crowd was fucking hyped for this, for the opening bell. One of those things you would not know if you read some of the Western fans only. Because, there's lots of people who would tell you that the Evil push was a giant failure and nobody cares. It's okay, there's clearly a disconnect between you and the Japanese fans. And, it's fine if you don't... what I always say is it's fine if you don't like something, right? If you don't like something, there's plenty of stuff I don't like that is popular with audiences and different promotions. The problem I have is when people project their feelings onto the Japanese fans that are at the actual building, when it clearly, to anyone watching, is not the case. Clearly this Evil stuff is over, and people tried really hard to argue it wasn't, just because of the fact that we didn't have actual cheering crowds for the first time ever. But it's clearly over. I think that's... If you couldn't figure that out by the fact that people seemed really hyped for this match the moment the bell started, and even were clapping louder than they had all night and started making actual reactions for the first time all night, then I don't know what to tell you. This you cannot like it, you listening, but this is over, and that's just a fact. So, as far as the match itself, I really liked it. I thought it was the best of their 3 matches together. Very slightly better than the Dominion match, definitely better than the Jingu match. They worked really well together. I mean, like, Evil's control period, wasn't super exciting. I mean, it started with like his normal chair stuff on the outside, and like, we got a chin lock. He sent Naito into the exposed buckle. The same kind of stuff we got from an all tour. But Naito's selling was great as always, so that went far enough to keep me invested. And Naito made a nice comeback. Now, the one thing I would say about this, like, that does confuse me a little bit at the storyline in general. Like, Naito makes his comeback, and he has, like, this glee in his eyes when he beats on Evil. And it makes sense that he would be feeling good, because, first of all, he beat this guy to win his double titles back in August and paid him back already for his betrayal in grand fashion. He's entering this G1 at 5-1. I mean, he's like, he's only lost, or entered this G1 match, I should say, at 5-1. So he's only lost 1 match in the tournament so far. So it makes sense that Naito would be in a good mood. On the other hand, I would have liked to see a little more like viciousness and anger from Evil, because he seems like a little too pleased with himself sometimes during this whole run, where it's like, you did betray Naito and you did win the belts. You held him for a month and a half and lost him right back to him. So you'd think he would be like a little more angry, or a little, especially towards Naito, or a little more like, not, he just always has this like really cocky smirk, and it feels kind of like maybe you should be, a little more pissed at this guy for taking the belts right back. It never feels like, I mean, I guess you could just say that's just his character, but it feels a little like unearned to me sometimes. Like maybe the storyline would work a little better for me if he was a little more pissed at him in this match,
Yeah, I mean, so we're definitely on the same page. I think this is their best of their 3 recent matches. I gave it 4 stars.
That's exactly, that's what I gave it to.
I did not like either of the previous 2 matches at all. I will also agree that I think the storyline is over with the fans. I just don't think Evil's particularly good at anything, really. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good in the ring. I don't think he's good, at the heel stuff. And he's a terrible promo. And I think that just all plays in together. Like the thing that you're saying, like he should be more angry. He shouldn't talk in like this weird cartoon voice either, but he does.
See, I like the promos, but I don't know. I've always thought like he has a weird charisma to him, and I think that's why they did decide to do the turn and try to push him at that level too. Plus, he's very, he's a good-looking dude, and that always helps in this company. But like, I do think he has that charisma to him. But yes, I get what you're saying. Like, he doesn't do a good job sometimes conveying real emotion, and I do think he would be better off. Like, instead of doing the cartoon voice, like maybe, just actually be angry at Naito for taking these belts back from him immediately. But,
John, I think you would be a really good boss.
Huh?
Because I think you would be a really good boss.
Why?
Because you gave some really, you just put that in a very kind way. Right? Yeah. I was like, he's not very good, and you're like, yeah, some of the stuff he does, it could be better. So, yeah. To me, I mean, yeah, I think he's definitely over, and he has fans, and this was an excellent match. But in general, his matches are almost an instant skip for me. Obviously, I watched this match, but yeah, I think this is his best match in a while, especially singles.
See, I liked him last year a lot, and like, I don't know, I like his running around and doing lariat stuff, and I thought like down the stretch here, he was, really good. Like, just like, first of all, like getting his comeuppance during the match. Like he does this awesome superplex off the top rope, but he stands there forever smirking about it, like almost like the fucking Bond villain, that like has to admire his own handiwork forever and just like waits for Naito to get up, instead of doing anything, and that let Naito like drop him with the Gloria. But I thought
he definitely worked for the match in this match. Like the stuff he did was placed well, it was done well, it was executed well. So in that sense, like technically, I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I just feel like he usually makes really weird choices in his matches. But this was devoid of all of those. So you see that he has a potential to be a really good wrestler. But yeah, I think that's my main beef with him, is that he usually makes really weird and sometimes destructive choices to the matches.
That's a good point, I guess. I assume that like Naito, like Naito during the like Naito being such a great, like he has like a great reputation for laying out matches, right? So I assume that's part of the thing here is like he probably laid this out. But yeah, I mean, like there were some great spots here. Like Evil at one point blocks Naito's wind up spinning neckbreaker in like an Evil knows this guy type of way, which is not a move that Naito, typically gets countered on at all, right? Like an Evil like just kind of shoves him down mid move and like hits his big standing senton. So that was a cool little touch. But yeah, and then there's like this half Nelson suplex from Evil after Naito collided with the exposed corner. And Naito takes that, of course, right on his neck. And then Evil does like this big lariat that, Naito takes a huge flying bump for and leads to a really close 2 count. But yeah, I mean, like the finish, I thought they did a good job limiting the Dick Togo silliness here. Togo runs in, but then like, Naito elbows him down before he can do anything. Naito eventually gets out of the spoilers choker, as it says on the back of his shirt, which continues to be really ineffective lately. Like apparently that was good for 2 matches, against Naito, when he won the belts, and against Hiromu would have retained them, and it really hasn't worked at any other time so far. But yeah, so Naito like fought his way free all by himself, and like swept Togo off the apron, and they went like at that point Togo was basically dumped the rest of the match, and they did like a really fun, exciting like back and forth sequence. Naito actually hit that diving forearm for the first time in about a million years, and he went for the Valentia. Evil reversed, trying to go for the STO. Naito got out and hit the running Destino. He hit it like almost like twisting Evil's neck around in midair. I think that was because he was afraid that like he was going to overshoot him, but it ended up looking pretty badass.
Yeah, it looked really good.
But yeah, Evil kicked out of it, and like last night in Osaka, you could hear the crowd like audibly reacting here. And then Naito wound him up for the real STO, or the real Destino, I mean. And Evil basically threw him back on his feet, hit the STO out of nowhere for the pin. Pretty much the cleanest win he's gotten all tournament. Definitive win here for him, which I think he definitely needed. So yeah, I went 4 stars on it. Just like you, I really liked it. I think it's Evil's best match in the G1, other than maybe the Yoshihashi match. They were both really good. But I thought it was nice to see him get to win clean for a change and make a statement heading into these last 2 shows. So really good main event. Very good show, I would say.
Yeah, good show, and I think the commentary to me really stood out on this one too. Obviously, Milano has a connection to the storyline, but him anticipating calling the moves added a lot to the match to me, and all 3 of them were in on that, like that aspect of their match calling. So yeah, the commentary I feel like in this match was exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, the way they add a lot of excitement to these shows just by like, even if you don't understand the language at all, or even if you only understand it at my like 3rd grade level, you can still get something out of it because I feel like they yell extra loud just to try to make up for the lack of crowd noise, and they do a really good job. So, have to give them a shout out. The B block standings here, we have Naito and Evil. They're tied at 5-2, although Evil now has a tiebreaker on him, which probably I think will come into play. After that, we have Goto and Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr. all at 4-3. Then you have Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, and Kenta at 3-4, and then all by his lonesome Yoshihashi at 1-6. So my top 10 matches after the 14 nights. Really not a lot has changed here since the last time I did on the Patreon. The big new addition here would be Okada Shingo, which is in 4th place for me at 4.5 stars. I have 3 matches above it in this G1. I have Ibushi and Jay White from night 3, Naito versus Zack from night 4, and Naito versus Tanahashi from night 2 as my top 3. So the Okada Shingo slides in at 4th. We'll go over the whole list again after the G1's over, but yeah. What's been like the best matches you've seen in the G1 so far that I know you haven't seen all of them, but
yeah, so my top 2 are Zack versus Naito and Zack versus Kenta.
Yeah, Zach and Kenta was like 7 for me, so definitely up there too.
Yeah, so those 2 Zach matches. I liked Ishii and Minoru a lot. I liked Tanahashi and Naito a lot. I liked Ospreay and Shingo. Yeah, and obviously the Okada Shingo match that we just talked about, I liked a lot. I don't know. I don't have a rating down here for Jay and Ibushi, but I remember liking that a lot. Maybe I just forgot to write it down. This is why I can't talk about my top 10 because I'm just not so diligent about taking notes. But yeah, those ones that I mentioned have been the ones that stood out to me in general.
Right. Before we get off the G1, the last thing, a quick look ahead to Tuesday's show, which is night 15. Again, this will be covered on the Omakase Patreon, so you can subscribe at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. It is an A-block show from the Hamamatsu Arena. Your Young Lion opener is Uemura versus Gabriel Kidd. Match 2, Will Ospreay against Jeff Cobb. I assume Ospreay will win that, but, he'll be paying Cobb back, too, from pinning him for the Never title at MSG last year, which it took me a while to even remember that, but yes, Cobb did beat him in that champion versus champion match they had. Match 3, Kota Ibushi at 10 points against Yujiro at 0. I assume Kota wins that. Match 4, Shingo and Taichi both at 6 points. That'll be an interesting one. Could really see that one going either way. And then the semi-main event, Minoru Suzuki at 6 points against Jay White at 10. I believe this is their first meeting since their G1 meeting 2 years ago. I think it was G1 2018. And I remember really liking that at the time, so it'll be interesting to see these two go at it again. And the main event, Okada versus Ishii, should be... I assume all the 10-point guys are just going to walk out with wins here, but we'll see if they throw in any curveballs. And obviously that, Okada and Ishii have had some great matches before, so we'll see. So there's your G1 talk. Let's move over to the Noah N-1 victory. The finals were held today, October 11th, from the Edion Arena, Osaka. I would call this a really good show overall, especially for two matches in particular. But just a up and down really good show. A great ending to what was a really good tournament. So I don't know if you have any... I assume you don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this show as well. I think it's probably the best show of the tournament, but I don't really have that in front of me. But yeah, definitely worth watching. Definitely the best match of the tournament and another really good match. Yeah, let's talk about it.
The opener was Full Throttle. Hajime Ohara, Seki Yoshioka, and Yohei defeating Junta Miyawaki, Kinya Okada, and Seiya Morihashi in 11:33. I thought this was a real fun junior 6-man opener. Ended with Yohei pinning Junta with a diving double knees off the top. I would go 3.5 stars on this. Exactly what you want out of this kind of match. All action.
Yeah, that's higher than I went. I give it 3, but I liked it a lot too. I thought the finish looked awesome. Yohei usually has a hard time at really delivering an impactful finish, but this was probably the best I've ever seen that move done. So that was awesome. I think we talked about Junta being Junta's comeback being meaningful, and you didn't seem to. What did you think about him in this match?
You broke up there for a second. Sorry, you said.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask what you thought about Miyawaki.
I thought he looked good. Yeah, I mean, I thought he, definitely stood out as somebody that has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, I wouldn't have expected it at first when he first debuted, but he's definitely going to be an asset in this junior division going forward. So I think he's really good.
Match number 2, Kongo, Neo, and Tadasuke defeating Akatashi Saito and Masao Inoue in 9:01. I skipped this just to be on the safe side time-wise, because you and I had a time we had to start this, and I had to finish this show. And I had some issues streaming the show at first, and I had to restart my computer, so nobody cares. But I skipped the match. I like Inoue, especially for being an old goofy guy. But maybe I'll go back and watch it later.
You don't need to. It was fine, but you don't need to go back and watch it again.
The third match here was an 8-man tag team match with Sugiura-gun, Kazusa Sakuraba, Kazuyuki Fujita, Kendo Kashin, and Takashi Sugera defeating the Congo team of Kano, Manabu Soya, Masa Kitamiya, and Yoshiki Inamura in 14-14. I'm not sure if it was announced before or after this match, but Sakuraba and Sugera's first GHC tag title defense will be against Soya and Kitamiya on October 28th at Korakuen. They kind of went at each other during this match. This was a pretty standard multi-man, fun, but like nothing you got to go out of your way to see. But I added a quarter star for the ending with Fujita murdering poor Inamura, these slaps to the face, these soccer ball kicks, and finally that straight down power bomb that looks sick as hell. Apparently this caused a lot of controversy on Twitter today. People were very angry with Fujita. I don't know. It's Kaz Fujita. I mean, that's kind of what he does. I don't know what people are like. I don't know. It's like getting really mad at Kaz Fujita for, being very stiff and kind of dangerous. Just
You're
seems
like 20 years too late.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the guy barely wrestles at this point. Doesn't seem like that big a deal. And, I saw someone on Twitter basically say there's a lot of stuff in wrestling that's, just as dangerous, if not more, that just like, I guess doesn't look like it to some people, that nobody calls out to that degree. So I don't know. It feels a little performative sometimes with Fujita, and like people, I get it. People don't like Inokiism, but it just seems a little much. But yeah, I went 3 1/4. I had a good time.
I went 2 3/4, but I did enjoy it. I think, looking at the tag title match coming up, I think they're probably going to borrow the structure of this quite a bit, which is, Soya taking a big beatdown and then a hot tag to Masa Kitamiya, which I think is the perfect role for him. He does really well in that role. He struggles more when he's on offense more, so I think, that'll hide that weakness quite a bit. And who would have thought we'd be looking at that match and not expecting Sakuraba to be the weak link in it?
Yeah. I mean, he had a great M1. So, match number 4 for the GHC Junior Tag Team titles. Momono Seishun Tag, Kotoge and Harada defeat the Singer team of Hayata and Yoshinari Ogawa in 24-32 to win the titles. I thought this was good. I thought it dragged a little bit for me. Like, it really started to drag by the end. But just when I was ready to write it off completely, Harada and Hayata got me really into it again with a really fun exchange. A super close flash pin near fall for Hayata that again got an audible crowd reaction. But it ended pretty much right after that with the Katayama German from that's what it's called, right? I think Katayama. Harada on Hayata for the pin. And that made... Now, let me see if you know this off the top of your head. Do you know how long it's been since they were last Junior Tag Team Champions, Harada and Kotoge?
2016.
Well, you nailed it. Yes, it's the first time they vacated these belts December 26, 2016. So, this is almost 4 years here. They're finally junior tag champions again.
I won the Noah Trivia show, John.
That's true. Oh, that's true. There you go. But yeah, I really wasn't sure what to rate this one. I went with 3 1/4. There were parts of it I really liked, but it just dragged a lot for me by the end of it.
I gave it 3. I thought it lacked for the significance of the return of Kotoge and Harada as a team. I feel like it lacked a story, which is disappointing because all 4 of those guys are very capable of having an excellent match, but this just wasn't it for me. Like you said, I thought the finish was good, but I feel like they could have done a lot more with this match. The one thing that stood out to me, though, is that Harada and Kotoge looked almost deflated in winning.
They don't want to do this.
Yeah, they totally don't want to do this. Which, if it's not a storyline, I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about how they played into the rest of the show. But if it's not a storyline, I mean, come on, guys, you just won some titles. at least crack a smile.
Yeah, I mean, they just Kotoge to me has looked like a guy that he's looked like a guy that got demoted back to the junior division pretty much since he got demoted back to the junior division. So, I just think in general, he hasn't really looked super into much of anything since he went back to the juniors last year. But It's rubbing off on Harada, I guess. But we'll see. They make their first defense on October 28th at Korakuen, the same show as the heavyweight tag titles. It'll be against Yohei and Seki Yoshioka from Kotoge's former unit of Full Throttle. They were together like all of 3 months before this happened, of course. But
musical chairs in this division.
The next match for the junior heavyweight title, the singles title, this ruled. Kotaro Suzuki defeats Hao in 15:47. I had no idea. I mean, like Hao was a guy who's like, he was in Michinoku Pro before this, and like I had no clue he was this good, because it's like, who the fuck is watching, you know, Michinoku Pro in the last like decade, right? I mean, they barely ever make tape. I don't think. I mean, I never see them on the fucking Samurai schedule or anything. Yeah. So like, you know, it's hard to know exactly who's good and who's not there. But like, this dude is awesome. I mean, he was great here. You know, he was the former Yuki Sato, the former Kenbai. But yeah, I mean, he was just really, really good. I mean, he's been good in the lead up too. But yeah, I mean, he was really good during this match. You know, they had a really fast start before it devolved into like Kotaro working him over a little more slowly. And then eventually we get a Rana on Kotaro from the apron to the floor. And Kotaro Suzuki should not be taking a bump like that. And, like, isn't he? I don't know how old he is at this point. But he feels like he must be old because he's been working forever, but he could have started really young. He's only 42.
I think he's
42.
Yeah, I think he's around 40.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he should be taking that bump at 42, but I would have guessed like 45. So, but yeah, a truly ridiculous bump. Like, really, like, the smack of his back on the ground was really gross. You know, there was like a lot of great action after that from both guys. Some fun flash cradle near falls, a super close near fall off of an awesome looking Tiger Driver reversal, and then you know, he finally finishes him off pretty much right after that with the God, what the hell's that move called? Do you know off the top of your head?
They were saying that it was a tribute to Ricky Marvin, and they called it the Santa Maria, which I think is what Ricky called it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But then I saw something else about it being from Kinnikuman.
Okay.
But I don't really know.
I know at one point that he did the Death Scythe, which is like that elbow thing he does, which I'm like, okay, Gundam Wing reference, I got that one. But yeah. That was funny. But yeah, this was awesome. For sure, the match of the night up to this point, easy 4 stars. So.
Yeah, I went 4-2. You know, previously I said that Zach and Katsuhiko were my 2 favorite wrestlers. My next 2 favorite wrestlers are probably Kotaro Suzuki and Sho. So I love Kotaro Suzuki. I think he, you know, people are very quick to slap like a Misawa reference on wrestlers. But I think there's no one more deserving of that, you know, that comparison than Kotaro. I think he pays tribute to Misawa every time he gets in the ring, both with the match structure and the elbows and just obviously, you know, everything he learned from Misawa. So it's always a pleasure to watch Kotaro wrestle. But I think Hao is also like the perfect opponent for him, right? Because he's so much smaller. The pace of this match in the beginning, you know, compared to the junior tag match was so refreshing. After that was kind of like a slog. This one got out to a really quick pace, which is like what you want from a junior match, especially on a show that didn't really have any other fast-paced matches to this point. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I would say this is probably Kotaro's best match of the year and Hao's best match in who knows how long. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And I would have personally preferred to see this in the semi-main spot. But there's obviously some political reasons that prevented that from happening. So yeah, but definitely check this match out. I think they have it up on Abema for an entire week, and I think they have the matches up individually.
They do. So I got sport on the main event.
Well, yeah, that's the downside to it. But definitely check this out. These guys are probably not going to get much credit for it, but this is one of the better junior matches of the year.
Afterwards, we found out the next challenger will be Daisuke Harada, the new junior tag champion. He came out with Kotoge to challenge Kotaro. So that will happen on November 8th at Korakuen. This will be his 6th defense already. It's like, Jesus, he's held this belt for a while, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the fuck did he win? I don't even remember. Let me see. I'm curious now. He won this title April 19th. Okay. Oh, that was the... Oh, no, that was Kawasaki? Okay. I would have guessed that was the show. So he challenged Ogawa, I think, on that show with the what's it called thing? The Fujita match that everybody hated. or like lots of people liked, but a lot of other people hated. The Fujita, what's it called, match?
Shiozaki?
Yeah, the Fujita Shiozaki match. But that's where Ogawa won the title, I think. Ogawa won the title January 14th. What am I talking about? Okay, anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. So apparently I had the timeline completely wrong in my head. But either way, Kotaro won the belt during COVID, I guess, is what it comes down to. It says at Noah TV Studio in Kawasaki. So, but yeah, he's already...
Yeah, that...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That was one of their... They were doing those, like, shows on DDT Universe at the time.
Yeah.
From that studio, but you can't... Okay, here we go. Do they have... on the website, they don't have the defenses like the New Japan site is.
So the defenses, he beat Kotoge on June 14th, Kasayashi June 21st. So those are like two of those TV shows. And then Yohei July 19th, Seki Yoshioka.
That's a good match.
Yeah, I remember liking that one. And then Seki Yoshioka August 30th. So
yeah, that one was okay. But I think Yoshioka is a good add to the division in general. I think he'll have better matches. But I think of those matches, this is definitely Kotaro's best match.
Yeah. So there you go. The semi-main event, a 8-man tag team match. It was Daiki Inaba, Go Shiozaki, Mohamed Yone, and Shuhei Taniguchi losing to the M's Alliance team of Keiji Muto, Masaki Mochizuki, Masakatsu Funaki, and Naomichi Marufuji. I like this. I thought maybe based on what you just said, maybe you didn't like this that much, but I thought it was good. I mean, I really enjoyed seeing Funaki in there. I thought he and Go, were like a focus early on. It went 22 minutes, but to me, it never felt like it really dragged. So I don't know. Muto like took a deadlift suplex bump from Go at one point, which at his age is, I don't know how the fuck he's doing that, honestly. And Marufuji, I thought, looked better in this match than he did in the entire N-1, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
He did like a really fun chop exchange with Go, which ended like this big wind-up lariat, answering back from Go to Marufuji's kicks. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Marufuji can only do tags at this point. But yeah, Funaki ends up getting the pin on Yone with the hybrid buster. I went 3.5. I thought this was good.
I went 2 3/4. I thought it was a little longer than I would have preferred to see. I think I was just too excited for the main at this point, wanted them to get in and out quick, but that obviously did not happen. They definitely set up at least one match with this, which is surprisingly going to be Muto against Taniguchi.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's happening, but
November.
Definitely
November 22nd. Yeah, November 22nd, Yokohama Budokan.
Wow. Yeah, so that's going to happen. That'll be cool. Muto versus Kaito was fun to me, so I think this will be a good spot for Taniguchi. He has good matches in him, so I think that'll be interesting at least. And then maybe did they also announce Inaba versus Marufuji?
I didn't see that announcement. If they did,
okay. So they kind of implied that they might do that at some point too. Inaba, he's a guy that I hope sticks around in Noah, but they really haven't done anything with him yet, other than like his first like brush with Kaito right when he started. But I think he's also a good piece. I think Noah did really good in kind of like cleaning up the pieces of Wrestle One compared to other companies. So they have some good pieces going forward, and yeah, I think they have a lot more with Inaba than they've shown so far.
Yeah, for sure. The main event, the Noah N-1 Victory Final. Katsuhiko Nakajima defeats Kaito Kiyomiya in 25-24. Absolutely incredible match. One of my match of the year contenders here. I mean, this was... I know this is not going to be a popular take, but I thought this was better than the Champion Carnival Final. I went 4.5 on that Kento Zeus match. I went 4 3/4 on this one. I just thought this was like exactly the kind of match I wanted to say these two go out there and have. Nakajima just fucking whipped Kiyomiya's ass throughout this entire match. Just kicked the shit out of him. And Kaito has gotten a lot better at everything else too. But the thing he was always originally like great at was his selling and being sympathetic while he got his ass kicked. And man, did he like... he was like even better at it than usual, which is saying something. I mean, he like just took the ass kicking of a lifetime here and like sold it. And by the end, like, Jarina on commentary, she's a pop star, used to be in one of the AKB48 offshoots. I don't remember which one. Could get my buddy Ethan on here, would be able to tell you all the idol information, honestly. But yeah, Jirina was like gasping and like, you know, she's a big Kaito fan, I think, and I think that's like
for
and
sure.
Like, and you know, she's like, you felt her on commentary added to this because you felt like she was like watching her favorite die or something while it was going on, and like Kaito,
at one point, sorry to cut you off. At one point, you know, Kaito gets kicked in the face, and she like gasps and goes, "Oh no, his pretty face."
It's great.
You know, and I think they did a really good job of bringing her in. It's pretty clear to me that the entire purpose of using her on commentary is to help get Kaito over. It's been like that since the beginning, but she's really good at it. So, yeah, I think this was really good too. Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm just like the stretch run here. I mean, look, it started out. If I could see people complain about the start, I liked the start. I thought like, you know, it was basic stuff with the headlocks and the leg scissors for the first 5 minutes, but like, I thought they were intense. I thought, you know, they did that mat wrestling better than lots of big matches I've seen where like, you know, you can tell they're going long. I mean, I liked the start of this, honestly. And then like the stretch run, I mean, like, you know, they just full of awesome shit. I mean, like these incredibly hard slaps from Nakajima. You know, Kaito comes back with this awesome jumping knee. I mean, he nails this guy right in the face with that knee. It was so great. Gets a tiger suplex hold for a really close near fall. He goes for another tiger. Nakajima won't go for it. They trade a few more move attempts. They go back and forth, but not in a silly way. And then Nakajima hits this disgusting high kick. I mean, he murders this man with this high kick. And somehow that is not the most disgusting kick of the 30 seconds, because then he follows it up with an even more disgusting punk kick. It gets audible gasp from the audience. Jirina sounds like she's going to cry when he hits that punk. I mean, you could hear her on commentary, and you could see a bruise already forming on Kaito's face, I think, when Nakajima lifts him up on his shoulders.
For sure, yeah.
And he hits that diamond bomb for the pin. I mean, perfect finish. I mean, there was no way Kaito should have been able to come back from that. But yeah, I love this match. It's 4 3/4 for me. It's either the best match of the COVID era or second best match. I have to decide. It's either this or Naito Tanahashi for me. They're both going to be right up there on my match of the year list. I mean, like, just an absolutely incredible match. And, like, you know, I think this was better than, like I said, better than Zeus Kento by a little bit. I went 4.5 on that. So, you know, just an outstanding tournament final, outstanding ending to a outstanding tournament.
I gave it, this is going to sound anticlimactic, but I give it 4.5 stars, but it's also my match of the year. So I did love it a lot. I just didn't rate it as high as you did. The best finish of the year to me. I mean, the first kick, like, I love kicks, right? That was the best kick I've ever seen, I'm pretty sure. Like, just in terms of execution and like how fast he kicked him. It's like it came out of nowhere. Like, I almost feel like I got kicked in the fucking face watching it. And then the second one was just brutal. Like, almost like, oh, why'd you have to, like, he's already dead. Why did you have to do that? The strikes, the slaps earlier, obviously, like you said, were super brutal. I think the other thing about Kaito that's really good is that how he weaves in the selling into his offense. So, like, as you mentioned, he's excellent at selling, excellent at giving the other guys, you know, the right, you know, opponent basically to put their offense over. But his offense is also, like, kind of built around desperation. Right, like he gets Katsuhiko up to the top rope and goes for that reverse DDT, but like you have a feeling that like if he doesn't get that move off, it's pretty much going to be over for him. But he keeps kind of hanging on to the story of the match and keeps hanging on to the match before eventually he just gets overwhelmed. But yeah, that jumping knee was awesome too. That reminded me of like the jumping knee that Akiyama used to do. I'm wondering if we're ever going to get like any type of Noah comeback for Akiyama now that they have they share a parent company, but yeah, this match was fucking awesome, and to me, it's the best match of the year, and it's awesome because like going in with your favorite wrestler in the biggest spot of the year, you want him to deliver, right? And he totally delivered, and not to minimize Kaito's performance at all, because I think it's probably, you know, if not Kaito's best match ever, certainly one of his top 5.
Yeah, I mean, like this, I think I still put Kaito Go from January 4th very slightly above this one, but two amazing matches for one. I mean, Kaito at this point, like, this match to me cemented to me that, like, if he's not my most outstanding wrestler, he's like no worse than second or third. I mean,
Kaito or Katsuhiko?
Kaito, because he had an outstanding year. Nakajima's like right below that too, but like Kaito, between this and the Go match, both being like probably they're going to finish either 2-3 or 2-4 on my match of the year list.
You like the Hideki Suzuki match too, right?
Yeah, and and Kaito had several other matches in this N1 that I really liked. He has my second best match of the tournament too at Mochizuki. So I mean, just some incredible stuff from him this year, and I think he's a most outstanding wrestler candidate for sure.
I think both of them definitely are in that conversation, and I think both of them really were highlights of the entire tour too, which is what you want from some of your top guys. And they're both going to be in the main events for the rest of the year. I'm sure you'll talk about this. Well, you already mentioned it, but Noah has a show coming up at the Yokohama Budokan, and they also announced one coming up at Yoyogi here in Tokyo. So those are two big.
When's the Yoyogi show again?
I think December 6th. Let me pull it up real quick.
Wow, that's right after Yokohama Budokan. But yeah, this Nakajima Go match is at Yokohama Budokan on November 22nd. So Nakajima.
Those are the dates: November 22nd and December 6th.
So I wonder if they'll come right back on their title match. That'll be interesting. But yeah, Nakajima Go. November 22nd at the new Yokohama Budokan. So, as many people would have suspected. But there you go, the big Axis blow-off match. Kano got on commentary at the end too, right? Did you pick up what he was saying?
Yeah, so he was there the whole time, just sitting next to Kobashi but not saying anything. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I've mentioned this on other podcasts before. I don't think I've ever mentioned it here. But Kano's like basically the best interview or the best promo in all of Japan. So to have him sitting there and not say anything the whole time was pretty shocking. But finally at the end of the match, he just basically puts over how Katsuhiko's representing Congo, and he's one of the top wrestlers in the world, and he's gonna win the title, and basically just putting over Nakajima, which was great. But I think him and Kano are gonna meet very soon again, if not in Yoyogi. Definitely in the near future. I think this alliance is going to be pretty short-lived.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Nakajima's going to end up taking the unit from him, probably. But yeah, Kano has a very distinctive voice too. So it was like, oh my god, who the hell is that? And it's like, oh, there's Kano. But yeah, it was
screaming, and Kobashi's just sitting there like, seriously?
Yeah, I thought he said something like, something about Axis being dead or something, or Axis is gonna be put aside, or I don't know. My Japanese isn't that good, but he said something about Axis. But
yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It felt like he was taunting Go over Axis being over, basically. But yeah, this was a really, really good, really awesome main event. Obviously, a really good show overall. Definitely if you're gonna skip around, definitely watch the junior title match and the main event for sure. Let me quickly give my top 10 in the N1 since, so I include the final in the top 10 because it's a match that happened. I mean, it should be included. I don't include it in the averages for the wrestlers. So, because, it's not fair to these two guys get to have one more main event, But the top 10 here, I have Kano versus Taniguchi from the B block on night 3 at 3 3/4. Then in 9th place, Marufuji versus Sugera. The only Marufuji match that's any good in the entire tournament. In the B block, 3 3/4 on night 3. In 8th place, Kano versus Nakajima from the B block, 4 stars on night 1. 7th, Go Shiozaki versus Kaito Kiyomiya in the A block, 4 stars. 6th place, Nakajima versus Taniguchi from the B block, also 4 stars. 5th place, Kaito Kiyomiya versus Masa Kitamiya, A block, 4 stars. And then the 4 through 2 are all 4 1/4. Go Shiozaki versus Masaki Mochizuki in the A block in 4th. Go Shiozaki versus Kazuchi Sakuraba in the A block in 3rd. And Kaito Kiyomiya versus Masaki Mochizuki in the A block in 2nd. And then obviously first place, the N1 final, Kiyomiya versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. So there you go. Really, really good tournament. Lots of great stuff. There were 2 nights that you really didn't need to watch. Those 2 single cam nights, that were on Universe. I believe it was night 2 and night 5, like the second to last block show. But, the rest of the shows were all really good and filled with lots of good stuff. So even beyond what I put down there. So definitely, as far as like tournament-wise, blew away the Champion Carnival, even though the finals, I would say, were more comparable. But like the rest of the tournaments, it's not, not even close. But I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I think, just real quick, my top 3 were Kaito Mochi, Shiozaki Sakuraba, and Kaito versus Masa. So I think we're pretty much, I didn't include the final on that list, but
yeah.
I think we're pretty much on the same page. And yeah, just compared to the Carnival, like going in, obviously I enjoy Noah in general a little bit more than All Japan, but I was pretty excited about the Carnival, especially like the original Carnival with Segura and Baby Boy Smith Jr. in it, whatever. But yeah, I think looking back now, like this N1 is just we're gonna talk about this going forward, but we're just not gonna talk about anything from the Carnival other than the final.
Yeah,
which is disappointing, right? That means that they could have had better matches throughout, but
yeah,
yeah.
And then as far as like from the N1 averages, who has the best tournament, the top 3 all came from A block for me. This is not including the final. Kaito in first at a 3.9 average, Mochizuki in second with a 3.75, and Go Shiozaki in third with a 3.6. And then right below them were 3 guys in B block all tied at a 3.5, which were Kano, Nakajima, and Sugera. So nothing that really surprised me there. Those are all wrestlers that I usually enjoy a lot. So those are my top 6, I guess you could say. And really the only guy that I didn't really like was Marufuji. Only came in with a 2.85. So everybody else was kind of right around the 3.0 to 3.3 mark. So
I have a feeling that Segura is obviously still going to deliver quality matches like night in and night out, but I feel like he's just going to not go as hard every night.
Yeah.
Which, obviously he should totally do. But I think like his big title matches and stuff like that will still be great. But yeah, just the quality compared to him and Marufuji is just night and day.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the N1. Anything you want to plug here, JoJo, before you wrap this up?
No plugs. Miami Marlins 2021 season is coming soon.
Okay.
So get ready for that. But no plugs.
And you can, of course, follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Omakase, Wrestling Women Fit. We'll be back on Tuesday on the Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase, with our next G1 show, Night 15 at Hamamatsu. Next week's free show, really going to be happy to have Todd Martin on from the PW Torch. Going to be making his first appearance on the free feed. He did do one appearance on the Patreon earlier this year. So Todd Martin will be on with me next week to talk about the G1 B Block final, Night 18, from next Saturday, and the G1 overall finals from next Sunday, both at Ryogoku. So that'll be our next free episode. In the meantime, everybody, thank you as always for listening and for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.